Hey, that's right, guys. That victorious feeling. Nice to talk about a win for the TCU football team. Welcome in, everybody, to the All Horned Frogs podcast, part of the All City Network cavalcade of podcasts. I'm Jeff Wilson. Tanner is doing the producing. We're in downtown Dallas at the DLS studios for episode 7. It's going to be a good one because, like I said, we have some good stuff to talk about, a win. First, coming up today, TCU defensive end Devean Deal at 3 p.m., John Denton, the former TCU punter and broadcaster, now the executive director of the Flying T Club. He's at 2:45. And then the closer, Jamie Plunkett, who kind of blew a save last week, but we won't hold that against him. He's going to finish things off at 3:15. Before we get to our guests, though, let's play some catch-up. TCU football is coming off its best win of the season, even if it was against a struggling Utah team. The Utes are still tough at home, and no question about it, at Rice Eccles and in Salt Lake. And they still have a tough defense, which they showed against the Frogs Saturday night. But TCU's defense did what it was supposed to do against a true freshman quarterback, and maybe more than it was even expected based on what had happened the first 6 games with TCU. That struggling unit was the key to the 13-7 Big 12 conference victory. Devean Deal, our guest, was the star on the defense with 2 sacks among his 5 tackles. Marcel Brooks, the local kid, finished with a sack. Caleb Elamzer, he recorded his first sacks with the Frogs. The Cal transfer, Lamarian James, also known as Scud, for a transfer from Old Dominion. He and Nnamdi Obiazar tied for the team lead with 6 tackles. And don't forget about Bud Clark, who had his first interception of the season and the 8th of his career, which is tops among current TCU players. The number one issue on defense against Houston was missed tackles. Linebacker Johnny Hodges, who was on our show a couple weeks ago, he said that the Frogs would fix their tackling woes and then also kind of iron out the wrinkles that they're still experiencing in defensive coordinator Andy Avalos' system, which is being installed during the first year. It turns out Hodges was right.
Yeah. It's obviously the best we played on defense. I thought Andy and the defensive staff had a great game plan. We had to sell out to stop the run, and that's what we did. And I thought we tackled exceptionally well. I think that was the key for us. Is when they got loose, which they're going to at times, we got them on the ground. For the most part. Proud of our guys for just gritting it out. And the defense played a lot in the second half with our back against the wall, and I thought they played incredibly well and did what we had to do to win.
That was Frogs coach Sonny Dykes, of course, after the win in Salt Lake City. Video courtesy of our friends at the Frog Insider podcast. Dykes was also happy with the energy the Frogs had throughout, which has also been an issue in the Frogs' 3 losses this season. Dykes believes and has long believed that the team with the most energy, the team that's most excited to play, is going to win. He also thinks that the lack of energy might have been what we've seen nationwide, like it upsets at Alabama, losing at Vanderbilt. The Frogs had the energy at Utah. They transferred that onto the field, and what they've done in practices that went to the game field, and they didn't buckle down the stretch. The win should produce some confidence.
Yeah, I think it's a huge thing for us. I think that we're a team that needs to have some confidence. I think we probably played a little tight this year so far, and I think we'll gain a lot of confidence from this. I think it's the first time this year we played complementary football. Where both sides played well together. I thought we were really solid on special teams, other than the blocked field goal. And I thought it was a sign of what this team can be. We got to get some things cleaned up, obviously, but man, I think we showed a lot of heart, a lot of fight. I think we played physical. We did what we had to do to win on the road.
Frogs need to be a different kind of sharp this weekend against Texas Tech, which is coming off its first Big 12 loss. Tanner's going to like this. The defense was scorched by he's not going to like this, a lackluster Baylor offense in a 59-35 loss, allowing 5 TD passes by Sawyer Robertson and 7.7 yards per carry. Yeesh. On Tuesday, Sonny Dykes didn't talk about the Tech defense as much as he talked about the Tech offense. The Red Raiders have scored early and often much of the season under quarterback Baron Morton and running back Taj Brooks. Brooks has played in 6 of the Red Raiders' 7 games this season and has gained at least 100 yards in each one, averaging 5.4 yards per carry, 5.4 yards per carry. He's going to be provide a test to the Frogs' tackling skills and a defense that, prior to the Utah game, had hemorrhaged yards on the ground.
It just seems more decisive. You can tell he's just got more experience. I think more confidence. They're scoring points consistently, and I think that's the big thing that good offenses do is they score week in, week out, no matter who the opponent is, and they've done that consistently. And, I think the running back is one of the best players in college football. I really do. I think he's very unique, really patient runner, sets things up incredibly well, finishes runs as good as anybody, I think, in the game right now in college football. He's powerful. You hand it off to him, you hit him at the line of scrimmage, and he manages to get 3 or 4 yards. And so, that's the value of a running back is who down in, down out consistently maximizes opportunities and yards on every play. And I think he does it as well as anybody.
Now, the Frogs still have some things to clean up on offense. Josh Hoover, quarterback, our guest last week, he fumbled on the first series of the game deep in Utah territory. Continuation of the turnover woes that had played the Frogs going into the bye week. But that was it. He threw for 263 yards, did not throw an interception. And these weren't just little dink passes. The Frogs really stretched the field and ran some verticals, hit some verticals. The Frogs are still trying to establish the run, and they think that the return of Trent Battle might help. He returned from injury against Utah to gain 45 yards and 8 carries. He also caught 2 passes for 19 yards. TCU's leading rusher, though, was wide receiver Savion Williams with 72 yards. That's not going to be there every week. The Frogs need someone to step up at running back between Cam Cook or Jeremy Payne or Trent Battle, and they need to continue cleaning up their execution.
Yeah, we did some good things. We did some really good things. I thought we, particularly in the first half, and again, thought we were aggressive. We took some shots down the field, and when we took the shots, we executed almost all of them. We had 3 vertical outside receiver throws that we completed. Missed one to Savion that would have been a big one. But, yeah, I was glad to see us do that, to execute those. We missed some. We had the second to last possession. We had 2 receivers that got behind him. We had some confusion. The receivers and quarterback weren't on the same page, and we can't make those kind of mistakes. I mean, when you play good football teams and you have an opportunity to capitalize like that, you've got to capitalize. And I think that's kind of been some of our problem at times this year offensively. We played really well at times, and other times we've been our own worst enemy. And so we got to continue to, clean up our execution. But I thought we did some good things. I thought we ran the ball well. Having Trent back I thought was big. His role was good, obviously. What we did with Savion was good for that week. I don't know how much we're going to be able to count on that moving forward. We got to do a good job being able to run the football at the running back position. But I thought overall we did some good things. I think our offensive line played well against the defensive front that's good. I thought that was the big thing to me. The line of scrimmage battle on both sides, I felt like we won, and I think that's why we won the game.
That video is courtesy of the TCU Athletic Department. Appreciate that. Saturday's game is at 2:30 p.m. on Fox. It's the 67th meeting between TCU and Texas Tech, with Tech holding a 33-30-3 advantage. The Red Raiders won last year's game, 35-28 in Lubbock, to snap a 4-game skid to the Frogs. There have been some memorable ones, of course. The Frogs' Thanksgiving weekend win in 1994 sent them to the Independence Bowl. Max Nocky and Andre Davis were on that team. The 2015 game featured Aaron Green's miraculous catch. Josh Doxson deflected the pass from Trayvon Boykin. It was caught in the back of the end zone in the final minute. It preserved the Frogs' unbeaten record to that point, which they eventually lost, but still had a good season. That memorable Orange Alamo Bowl game was that year. The 2006 game, one of my favorites, a 12-3 Frogs win, which saw Gary Patterson's defense shut down Mike Leach's high-octane offense and Amon G. Carter, and it led to the memorable Patterson post-game rant, in which he talked about the lack of respect, and he was asked, how did your defense hold Mike Leach's offense down? Speed, baby, in his raspy voice. It was pretty ridiculous, but, the rivalry kind of picked up a few years ago when a former TCU assistant who was in charge of recruiting said, why'd you want to go to Lubbock? It's a desert out there, and put a cactus emoji in his tweet, and the Tech fans seized on that. There are still Tech fans to this day who have the cactus emoji in their Twitter handles, and it doesn't take much of a slight to get a program like Texas Tech fired up. Their Baylor loss was not a slight; it was on homecoming. They gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter to a Baylor team that really, Dave Aranda, the coach, is on the hot seat, and things were moving in the right way for Tech. I think they'd won 5 in a row. They were 3-0 to start conference play, and now Tech is 5-2, and TCU is 4-3 overall. I mean, a win here moves the Frogs basically into the same position as Tech in the standings, moves the Frogs closer to a bowl game, which is got to be the goal after last season going 5-7. Just interesting kind of matchup here. It's an afternoon game. By God, it's still hot out there. Not sure when it's ever going to cool down. It's supposed to be 93 today, but the question I think is going to be, can TCU stop the Tech running game with Taj Brooks? They did so well against the run against Utah. They were physical up front, and then just even if Utah was starting the freshman quarterback Isaac Wilson, they knew they had to stop the run and make him throw the ball, and the Frogs did that. And Utah has a good ground game. So that's one element I think that's key to a Frogs win. And then also, Texas Tech's defense is pretty porous. They allowed 7.7 yards of carries, we mentioned earlier, 5 TD passes. The Frogs, with Josh Hoover, one of the nation's leading passers, they're going to have to be able to pick apart that defense. But everything will be better if they can run the football. And like Sonny Dyke said, can't count on a wide receiver leading the charge for you again this week. It needs to be Cam Cook. It needs to be Jeremy Payne. It needs to be Trent Battle, and that starts up front. So if the Frogs can repeat what they did against Utah up front, they're going to be in good shape. Home field advantage. I know that the tickets are on the secondary market. We'll get to that a little bit later. Are going a little high than you might expect. Tech fans, it was athletic director Jeremiah Donati who a few years ago really put the clamps on opposing fans buying season tickets just for one game, and it was because of the Tech fans. And of course, that upset the Tech fans. But expect Tech to be well represented, just not as well represented as they might have been in years past. The Frogs coming off a win, students will be out, should be a good crowd, and hey, another Frogs win gets them one step closer to where they want to be. Coming up next, it's our man John Denton from the Flying T Club, so stick around. Hey, if you're not familiar with the Sleeper app, it's time to get familiar with the Sleeper app. Sleeper is known for its fantasy sports, but now they're really digging into the daily picks. And now the basketball season has started. That's really out there. One last night that I took note of: would Bronny James score more or less than a half a point? If you took less, you are a winner. And I think you probably need to take less every time when it comes to Bronny James. Look, it's really easy with Sleeper. You download the app, and right now, if you use the code DLLSFROGS, they will match up to $100 on your first deposit. you can take it from me. It works. Saturdays are a lot of fun. Doing daily picks. It makes watching games on the television, the college football games, that much more enjoyable. So again, use code DLLS Frogs. Download the Sleeper app today. And another code that I know works from personal experience is from our friends at Roback. If you use DLLS20, you will get 20% off your first order. So you can get a sweet hat like this with the dog silhouette that features the Roback logo. When I went to pick up lunch today, I saw a guy in a Roback shirt. I believe it's called the Margarita, and God knows I like margaritas. So look, with Roback Activewear, it's really simple. Best fit, best feel. The gear speaks for itself. The performance polos are better in the heat than any other polos on days like today, whether you're golfing, fishing, at a picnic, walking around getting your lunch. You're going to sweat a little. Your shirt's not going to stick to you. The best looking, best fitting performance polos, collars that never lose their shape, and fun designs like the Margarita. So use the code DLLS on Roback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts. All right, guys, there he is, my man John Denton. John Denton, live from, where are you, John? Are you in Fort Worth?
I'm at Flying T Club World Headquarters right here at the corner of I-30 and University with
Very
with
nice.
a beautiful view of downtown, and we're busy over here today trying to raise some money and keep the Frogs competitive.
Hey, John, you had a great thing going. You know, you were over there, head of a bunch of stuff at the Block T over at the university, and you'd gotten your kids through school and broadcast team, of course. Why was it so important for you to take over this role?
Well, I tell you, I'd spent about 20 years in the athletic department, and I mean, we've done a lot of the great things at the Frog Club, and through some of our raising money for, we rebuilt the stadium, we redid the arena, we did a lot at baseball and whatnot. But it's all about winning. That's what made all of that possible. Is, as I say, winning is the great grease. I mean, that gets wallets opened, it gets people enthused, it builds programs, and that's what NIL is all about. I mean, it's all about talent acquisition and getting your rosters built up and being as good as you can be. And knowing what's coming here in the next couple of 3 years, which back then was 4 or 5 years away. I mean, it's important that the Frogs be not only competitive but be really, really good, and are ready to grab a seat at the table whenever they realign and do whatever they're going to do when all the TV contracts expire here in a couple of years. I mean, this is really critical. So in my mind, it was probably the most important role that I've ever had as it relates to TCU, because you can draw a line to what we're doing straight to the rosters, and it's about being good. That's what it's about.
Yeah. How many athletes are under the Flying T umbrella? All of them?
No, it's a selective group. We work closely as kids come in and figure out, what's a good fit. We've got about 130 right now across several sports: football, men's basketball, women's basketball, tennis, baseball. So we've got about 130 total that are under contract with us right now for their name, image, and likeness.
It seems like winning's an easy sell. I mean, you kind of mentioned you took this job after the national championship, the run to the title game. I'm guessing it was easier then, but is it still an easy message to convey?
Well, yeah, I think it's easier now. Back, obviously when NIL, first cracked open in the fall of 21, a lot of people were trying to figure out, okay, how does this work and how can you make it work and, be as beneficial to the athletic department and the programs as possible. And a lot of people were trying to figure it out. Even in the fall of 22, when the Frogs were making that run and into early 23, people were still trying to figure it out. And it was counterintuitive to a lot of people because they remember what happened to TCU in the 80s and what happened to SMU in the 80s and all the different, probational scandals that happened in college football, basketball, whatever. And, convincing people that, number one, it's okay. It's legal. You're not going to get anybody in trouble. And number two, more importantly, the heavier part of the conversation is it's a must. If you're going to compete and you're going to be relevant in D1, this is what you've got to do. Third piece of the puzzle is it's completely 100% tax deductible. And that's been a big key for a lot of people. But now that we're, moving 3+ years into it, people understand it and we've got well over 1,000 donors that are involved with us now that help us in a large way, and we need that because this thing has gone from $2 million to 6.5 to this year about 13.5 million is our goal. It's not our goal; it's what we have to meet to cover everything. So I've been in a lot of different businesses. I've never been in anything that tripled one year and doubled the next. In terms of what you've got to produce.
Well, you were on the team that ended up on probation back in the 80s. Was it hard to convince you that this is all above board?
No, I think because I kind of had an inside track. I had a lot of information, and when I was still on staff at TCU, we were starting to meet on it, and you could kind of see where things were going in late 2020 and early 21, and It was easier, I think, because I was on the inside and had a little better view maybe of college athletics landscape than most. But all of a sudden, the switch just gets thrown on July 1st, 2021, and I think your casual fan and people that aren't that close to it were like, "What? You can pay players now? Really?"
Yeah.
And that I think that was a shock to the system because there wasn't kind of a halfway move, Jeff. It was, you can't do anything, and now you can do everything. And, and suddenly it's an environment of raise all you can, spend all you can. And that's where we are right now, and that's where we're going to be until the end of May. And spring is going to be a very busy and turnover time for NIL because with the impending settlement of the big case, House versus NCAA, that's likely to come. Looks like it's going to come the first week of April, and then things will really, really change. Summer of 25 is going to be as crazy as the summer of 21. I'll tell you that.
Well, you kind of intimated earlier about things are going to change. There's no more national letters of intent. They're doing away with that. House versus the NCAA, Grant House, the swimmer from Stanford. Revenue sharing deal. There's been a settlement agreed. I think just a couple weeks ago, the preliminary settlement was approved by a judge. But for now, things are still saying the same, right? You're still out here trying to raise funds.
Yeah, like I said, our fiscal year runs exact same as TCU, even though we're not part of TCU. Just to make sense of it, our fiscal year runs June 1 to May 31. So nothing changes for us. With the House settlement, if that gets signed off on and finalized in April, then, TCU's fiscal year starts June 1. July 1 is going to be the effective date where the institutions will then take over direct payments through their revenue share plan, which initially will be a $22 million account that will be set up. And then the institutions will figure out which sports get how much of that 22 million, and it's all tied and based on revenue. That is going to be the settlement language, and that's how the distribution calculations, at least in a large part, will be figured out sport by sport.
Yeah, Jeremiah Donati talked early on in the football season about this, and it just seems like it's never going to end. It seems like I like it because potentially you're going to extend college careers, so you're going to know who these guys are for a while. But with the transfer portal, it seems like it's as important to keep your own guys than it is to go get new guys from the portal. Is that what you're finding so far?
Yeah, and in the current situation, everything's basically year to year. And that makes it tough on the coaches. You're recruiting kids, you're signing them, you're bringing in here. I mean, in some cases, some teams are turning over 40 to 45 players on their roster, and I'm talking football now. So more than half of your scholarship players on a roster. And, let's say you sign them in December, they show up in January. You've got about 8 months to mold those guys together and pull them together and hope that they're as good as you think they are, and hope that more importantly, that they gel and play well together. And that's a huge pressure point, not only on the collectives, but also on the coaches, because they've got to take all these parts and pieces. It's almost like coaching an all-star team now. And you got to pull them all together and weave them together and hope that, the left tackle's as good as you think he's going to be, and that, the quarterback and the new receivers, figure out where everybody is, second nature in the middle of a play. I mean, I long-winded answer here, but I mean, I hearken back now. I mean, all the really good teams that TCU has had, let's say in the last 25 years. I mean, you look at a team that doesn't get a lot of notoriety, but the 2002 team that won the Liberty Bowl.
Sure.
Had 25 guys that were fifth-year seniors. You go to Mountain West Conference champions. You go to the Fiesta Bowl. That first team had 20-plus players, 5 years. The Rose Bowl team, I think, had 25 that were fifth-year guys. The 14 team that's going to be honored this weekend, they're having a reunion of the 10th anniversary of the 2014 team, a team that could arguably have won the national championship, having been given the chance. They had, I think, 23 guys that were fifth-year seniors. My point is that continuity makes a huge difference, and you're not seeing that now. If you hang on to a kid 2 or 3 years as a staff, you've done a really, really good job.
Yeah.
My question moving forward is, as we get into this revenue share and the institutions, take over arguably an increased amount of, payroll, salary cap, call it. What happens moving forward with the transfer portal? And, are there going to be conditions much like in an NFL contract where, okay, here's what you're going to get, but here's the term of the contract? I think that's the back end of the kind of the caboose of the train that's missing right now is, if you're going to have this money and there are going to be these increased amounts, then there's going to have to be some conditions and some things that, move toward the middle from the player standpoint. And I think that's, terms on contracts.
No, I agree. 3-year deal. Hey, get him there for 3 years. See what happens at the end of the third year of a class. I agree with you 100% on that. How can people help Flying T? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, we can. We're on the web, flyingtclub.com. You can go there. You can make online gifts. You can contact us if you want to talk about something of a larger nature. I'm happy to help. There's also a brand new in August. We launched our online store. TCU's been great to give us a license to use the Flying T logo, which was our mark. That's what we're named after.
There it is.
That was the athletic mark that was used by TCU for almost 15 years. Is what I wore all 5 years I was in the program. And the cool thing about it is designed by Marshall Harris, who was a defensive tackle on the football program in 1977, and created that in an art class at TCU and took it to F.A. Dry and said, "Hey, Coach, what do you think about this?" He goes, "Let's put it on a helmet." And it's stuck for 15 years. And
well, there you go.
I think it's a great story. Marshall's a great guy, talented artist, and a product of the program. So it all moves together well. But if you want some swag, we've got some new stuff that's coming out next week. We've got the ability, you can make a gift online. And like I said, everything you give is 100% tax deductible. And as we head toward the end of the year, if folks are needing to shelter a little money from the tax man like you, I mean, look at that set.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of money floating around there, Wilson. Make a gift in December and help us cover the $13.5 million that we've signed up for.
All right. John, thanks for joining us. So I couldn't appreciate it enough. Anytime you need to get the word out, give me a call. Let's do it again. That's John Denton, Executive Director of Flying T Club. John, thanks again.
You bet. Go Frogs. Beat Tech.
All right, John. We'll see you. All right, Devean Deal is coming up next. Devin, if you're in the queue, I promise this won't take long. Hey, Empire Today. Devin, your parents have definitely heard about them out there in Mesquite or the Garland area. Empire Today is the best place to get floors. Don't go to the big box floor a big box floor. You're going to get somebody trying to sell you floors who just sold a lawnmower to some guy. All right, at Empire Today, they are flooring experts. They have a in-home. That's what makes it so good. In-home convenience. They have a virtual app on your phone where you can just put any room and the floor you want, and voila, there it is. You see it for yourself. The best thing, they have a low price guarantee. They do their own warrants. They service their own warrants, and that is just a big deal. If you've ever dealt with warrants, you know. However, because Empire's so good, you're not going to need your warrant. So here's the deal. Here's what you need to do. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details. And you're going to take that extra money and you're going to download the Game Time app, which is free. Game Time is the leading app to help get you tickets on the secondary market to ball games, concerts, theater events, comedy shows, anything in your area that tickets are being sold to. Game Time is there for you. As you can see with the little graphic, you get a look at your seat, a panoramic view. You get all-in pricing, so you know what the heck you're running into. No surprises at the end. TCU football, it's up there right now for Tech. Tickets, $114. If you need to get your hands on one, not you Tech fans, just TCU fans, do that. So download the Game Time app today and use the code DLLS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. There he is, Devean Deal, edge rusher, linebacker, whatever you want to call him, whatever he wants to be called. Here he is. Thanks for joining the show, my man. How are you doing today in Fort Worth?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks for going on. We were trying to get your brother Marcus on, but Mark Cohen couldn't swing the double for some reason. So, but Mark's
got class. I just got out of class.
Class. Oh, dang it. No, well, I'm glad he's going to class. All right. Yeah. That's a good sign. Junior from Garland, Naaman Forest. You transferred from Tulane. You're 6'4", you're 250. How have things been going for you with the Frogs after the transfer?
Oh, they've been awesome. The team really embraced me when I came in. It's been awesome getting all the different resources and just being in Fort Worth. And like you said, Texas, like an hour away from my family. So it's been cool to see my little brother and sister. We got to catch a game over the bye week, and just it's things that I wasn't able to do at my old school. And then TCU has an awesome fan base, and like I said, the guys here are great. So I'm having fun.
All right. So you had 2 sacks against Utah, 5 tackles. The defense was better. So what was, before we get to you, what was the key for the defense, do you think? Because you guys had a couple rough ones going into the bye week. What did you guys do in that bye week to tighten things up?
I mean, we really felt like like you said, those little struggles that we were having were self-inflicted. It was just getting back to the fundamentals and really locking in on our keys, making sure that we can react fast and play. I mean, we're all we're all talented, so we're here for a reason. So just getting back to the fundamentals and making sure that we can just go out there and play free. So we, over that bye week, Coach Avalos really emphasized it, and all of our position coaches, they got us right. And like you said, we went out in Utah and we executed the game plan. So it was a lot of fun, you know, when you're doing things right, good things happen, you know.
Yep. So what is the feeling when you get a sack? I mean, it's not easy to get to a quarterback. So what is it like when you finally get there?
It's definitely awesome. Like you said, there's things where you win your pass rush and it's a quick pass or it's a screen, or so getting the sack is awesome because there's a lot of things that go into it. And like you said, all the week of preparations and all the workouts and stuff, that's what we do it for as edge rushers and D linemen. So it was a lot of fun. To get 2 of them was great.
I mean, you're 6'4", 250. You're not little, but you're going against guys who are 6'7", like 340. You know, it seems like hitting them is like hitting a brick wall if you go right into them. But technique, how much is technique? You know, you hear about the swim technique, spin, whatever. That's what it's got to be, right? You got to out technique them, out quick them.
Yeah. Technique is huge. I mean, we lift too, so we might be lighter, but we're strong. But definitely pad leverage and hand leverage. We emphasize that a lot in our strike progression and the fundamentals that they teach us. So really getting your hands inside, getting them off center, off balance. I mean, football, there's a lot more than just hitting, but there's a lot of technique that goes into it. But we work it so much that it's kind of second nature. So just making sure we execute those things to, like you said, get these bigger
Yeah.
guys, which I never noticed till after the game. I walk by and I'm like, oh, you're a lot taller than I thought when we were on the field.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you guys lift weights all year. I mean, obviously in the off seasons, that's when you put on the muscle, but you maintain during the week. How many times do you lift during the week?
I think we get three lifts, a recovery lift the day after the game, and then two lifts, like you said, to maintain that strength. Coach Kaz and the strength staff do a great job. So and the nutritionists and everything, they keep our weight up so we can go out there and perform week after week.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can't tell your story at TCU without mentioning your little brother. I say little in quotes. Younger brother, Marcus.
Yeah.
He's a defensive lineman. He's taller than you by an inch, 6'5", and he weighs 325. I feel bad for your parents. The grocery bill, especially in this day and age, I can't imagine it. But what's it like playing with him, and how have you guys kind of leaned on each other this season?
I mean, it's awesome. Like you said, he's my little brother, but not just in age, pretty much. He's built like my dad. Like you said, he's probably like 6'6". I would say 6'6". That way, I could be
Okay.
my boy. He's taller than me by a little bit. He got some weight, but it's awesome being out there. There's a couple times on the field like this last game where we were both starting, we were both playing a lot. So just getting to talk to him and everything, and then he's my teammate, but at the same time, I'm like all the workouts we did over COVID and stuff, and I see him as he is now, but I still see my younger brother and like back when he's playing running back, like baby Marcus. So it's been awesome.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
There are a couple good stories on the internet if you want to read them. You guys are from El Paso. Your dad played at UTEP. Your grandpa was your first football coach. It sounds like you didn't have any choice but to play football, but your mom's a great athlete too. So it sounds like this is a sports family.
Yeah, we joke about it being the family business or whatever, but my mom, she played volleyball and basketball at UTEP, and then my dad played football. And our younger siblings are balling too. Braylon just got his first offer from Texas State. He's a sophomore, and then my sister, she's killing it in volleyball. I'm sure hers is coming soon. But
Yeah.
like you said, it was kind of always like what we figured was going to happen. We didn't really think twice about getting a scholarship or anything. It's kind of, we didn't realize like how blessed and how rare that is, and let alone for three of us now to have one Division I offer was great.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for a good story, go to magazine.tcu.edu. It's not really a story; it's a Q&A with you two, you and Marcus, and then your dad and mom. Pretty cool, tight knit family. That's part of what brought you back from New Orleans. I saw part of a story. Your sister was in a car wreck. It sounds like she's doing okay though, right?
Yeah, they were okay. Marcus was driving he got to go home for a weekend, and they were driving, and they got in a car accident, and the car took a lot more damage. Thankfully, thank God
good.
for that. They were okay. I just remember I was walking up to my the new Coach Summerall at Tulane, and I was still weighing my options, and I was going to talk to him, and I got a call from my sister, FaceTime, and the car was flipped, and I was freaking out. But I was 8 hours away, and they were really calm about it. I was probably freaking out more than they were. But yeah, for sure. It made me it emphasized how important like family is and being close. So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that story I was referencing has a family picture. I mean, you guys are just all big. I mean, there's just nothing to it. Your little brother, he's as tall as you, it seemed like.
Yeah, he's catching up. I swear he wasn't that tall last week, maybe yesterday. He might have grown since I've seen him last time.
Okay, hey, so Texas Tech this week, it seems like you guys might have some confidence. What are the keys to stopping that Tech offense, which seems to score pretty regularly?
I mean, they have a great scheme. They're an air raid team, and their running back, he's really patient and runs hard. So, I mean, credit to them. They have good players. I mean, we have good players too, though. So our game plan is to go in there and emphasize what we can control, which is our fundamentals and our scheme, making them have to beat us not by bust or anything, but beat us on the one-on-one plays, the 50-50 balls and whatnot. So really emphasizing on controlling what we can control and. I think we'll be happy with the result if we do that.
Yeah, it seems like the second half against Utah, they hit the big play, but you guys had some tense moments there and came up big. How does that build a confidence of a unit, especially one that was coming off that Houston game where you missed some tackles? It seems like this is as confident you guys have been maybe since Stanford.
For sure. I mean, that confidence starts in practice. So, like you said, after the Houston game, we all had a sour taste in our mouth. So, getting back and really working on the fundamentals and things that we knew we had to improve. We had to be better tacklers. We had to hold our leverage better, and just our run fits. And so, all the little things that show up on game day. And then when you go out there and you execute, and it's clicking, and everybody's hyped for each other. I mean, you get just as hyped for other people's plays as you do yours. It's a great feeling, and it's going to be even better this week for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught any of the previous segment with John Denton from the Flying T Club. With the way things have changed in college football, you don't have to get into your situation so much, but just how have maybe you and your brother benefited from NIL?
I mean, it's amazing. It really does help. I mean, like you said, our parents were both college athletes, and even me at Tulane before like the NIL thing. I kind of know how it is, and like how the college student lifestyle, and just like that what that little bit of extra money can do just in general for like instead of your stipend going straight to food, you have some money for other things. So that's awesome for us personally and the future. And then just like you said, the transfer portal. I mean, when I came in, I forget how many transfers. It might have been like 17 that came in with me, and they're all awesome guys, but really gelling in the locker room, and it really emphasizes like it makes you focus. I know people talk about like the camaraderie, but it makes it emphasizes that even more that you have to really go out of your way to meet your new teammates year after year and engulf them in the culture.
Yeah, I mean, playing in high school in Texas. I'm sure you knew some of the guys that were on the team already, maybe from going against them in high school. Aside from your brother, though, did you forge a quick bond with somebody?
For sure. I mean, I had class with old lineman Carson Bruno. Nana came in. He's in the same room as me. Caleb, Ken, really all the transfers.
Yeah.
To be honest, we all came in. Coop came in a little bit in the summer, a little bit later in the summer, but that's my guy too. And I mean, it was really awesome. We all got along. DBs to, like you said, old lineman, which old lineman, D line don't usually mix, but for sure, like those were my guys.
All right. So we're shooting this in downtown Dallas, so not far, a little closer to home for you. I don't like the food options downtown. So if I need to go get some food, maybe a little bit east of here, where do I need to go get some food?
Okay, that's tough. So in Rowlett area, I mean, I'm gonna give an answer that's a fast food answer, but
That's
Sonic was walking distance from my house. So every time me and Marcus and every time we go home, me, Zoe, Braylon, all of us, we always walk over there and get half price slushes on the app. And
There
if
you
you don't
go.
have the app, that. But I'm trying to think of a restaurant out there. I like Jungle Burger. It's right across the street too. Everything's real close. I didn't really want to drive anywhere, so all the
All right.
restaurants that I
Well,
remember in that area.
everybody loves a good burger, so Jungle Burger it is. Yeah.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Hey, Devin, thanks for joining us. Mark Cohen might have told you I went to TCU. I've covered TCU. I've written a book about TCU. So this weekend, go out and beat Tech, would you?
Yes, sir. For sure.
All right. Everybody, that's Devean Deal from TCU Defense. Really appreciate him stopping by, his brother Marcus. Great stories again. Go check them out on the interwebs. And we'll be right back. All right, guys. As promised last week, I have received my TCU shirt from store.allcitynetwork.com. I'm going to close my computer Hopefully all hell doesn't break loose. Let's see. It's a sharp shirt, and it not only does it look good, and the frog looks like an ass kicker, it's really comfortable. I mean, I can't get over the comfort of these shirts. So if you go to store.allcitynetwork.com, you can choose a TCU shirt. There's Ranger shirts that I've picked up, Cowboys, Stars, Mavs. That's the basketball team. They begin their season tomorrow. And if you become a diehard member, you get a free shirt. So you're saving so much money just there. Right now, to become a diehard, we have a limited time offer, $4 a month. Okay, it gets you the free shirt. It gets you access to a lot of the things we do, to all the great writing that we have behind the paywall, whether it be any of the 4 major sports. Now that the baseball season has ended, it's my intention to start cranking out some TCU stories. Because again, I covered TCU. That was my first major beat back for the Fort Worth newspaper. And I've always stayed in touch with the athletic department, whether it be Gary Patterson or Jack Hesselbrock, and now Sonny Dykes, a great guy, a friend of the show who was on the first time. Mark Cohen, a big baseball fan, so we always have something to talk about. So become a diehard at alldlls.com/join-diehard and do it today, because we are the fastest growing sports network in this city. And I tell you what, if you aren't following us on YouTube, go do that. Subscribe, comment, like. We're on our way to 10,000 subs over there. So join on now and become a diehard. And you can ridicule our next guest, Jamie Plunkett. Jamie Plunkett, live from Kansas City at the Big 12 Media Days. It was men today, I believe. Women were yesterday. If I'm not making that up. I have some professional jealousy because coming up on Jamie's podcast, Frog Insider Podcast, is going to be Haley Van Lith. I've been trying for 3 weeks to get Haley. Our schedules have not fired, so Jamie got the scoop on me there. But Jamie, how are we doing in Kansas City?
Man, we're doing great. Haley was an awesome interview yesterday. I can't wait for you to watch that on my podcast channel and not yours. But no, it's going well. It's really energetic. Adding 4 new teams to the conference this year really offsets losing Texas and Oklahoma, and it's been fun to get to talk to some of the other players and coaches. Obviously, covering TCU as long as I have, you can see those guys more frequently than just this day in Kansas City. So it's been a cool opportunity to branch out a little bit. But a lot of energy here this week. It's been fun.
Yeah, this week is the live Schollmeyer live event, Friday night with 2 Chainz. Jamie, what's your favorite 2 Chainz song?
Couldn't name one. Could
I
not
couldn't
name a
either.
single one. I think we've heard some on the playlist here, the T-Mobile. They've been blasting music. It's like a nightclub. A lot of folks have been looking around like, are we supposed to be writing right now or dancing? Not exactly sure. But yeah, it's a cool thing that TCU does every year with this Schollmeyer Live, getting people excited about basketball season.
Yeah, they had Ludacris, right? I mean, that's a big deal. I mean,
No, I know I roll pretty deep in Ludacris's list of music, so that's one that resonated with me more than 2 Chainz.
Okay, great. So the women are kind of a big deal. Picked to finish 4th in the conference, and we mentioned Haley. Maddie Schur. I mean, a lot of transfer players that if you follow women's basketball, you've heard of. What did Mark Campbell and the group up there have to say about their season, which starts, really soon?
Yeah, November 5th is their first game at Schollmeyer, and Campbell talked a lot about what his expectations are for this team this year, and it's pedal to the metal. They want to run. They want to get out and transition. They want to spread the floor. They've got a ton of different shooters. Madison Connor was one of the players that was up here this week, and she set the single season record for made 3-pointers for TCU last year, and she suffered an injury, so she missed a lot of time. Yeah. Games. So she's looking to maybe reset that record again this season. Sedona Prince being back and healthy, bringing Donovan Hunter into the portal as well. As one of your point guards to kind of pair up with Haley Van Lith. This is a team that's incredibly deep. They have shooters top to bottom. They've got bigs that can pick and roll and space the floor. And this is an opportunity, I think, for Mark Campbell to really kind of flex on the offensive side of the court. And that's what he wants to do. He said he wants to make sure that they're a high-scoring offense, that their depth is seeing a lot of playing time, that they're moving the ball around well. And ultimately, when it comes to Haley Van Lith, giving her the freedom to operate that maybe she didn't have the season ago at LSU, either with the ball in her hands or working off of screens and off the ball as well.
Yeah, I like Mark. I like talking ball with Mark. He's an interesting guy and has the background of rebuilding teams, which, I mean, he's on his way to doing that. I also like talking to Jamie Dixon because you never know which way the conversation is going to go. 10th, though, for the Frogs. Interestingly, though, 58th in Ken Palm. So sounds like maybe the Big 12 is going to help them with their Ken Palm and ultimately their chances at the NCAA tournament. But, I mean, if you're the 10th best team in the Big 12, you're still really good.
Yes. 100%. I don't think there's a team in the conference that's outside of the top 90 in Ken Palm, which it's the deepest league in the country. We've known that for a while. But when Bill Self was doing his media availability earlier, he said straight up, there's not a single road game that any Big 12 team has where if they lose it, you should think, they're a bad team. Because every team is capable. And he suggested that a 15-5 record in the 20-game conference schedule this year would probably be good enough for first place. So you think about how deep the league is, and if you've got a coach who's as prominent and capable as Bill Self saying that he thinks that every team's going to have at least 5 losses, that kind of tells you what we're in for as far as Big 12 play is concerned.
Yeah. I only recognized from last season's team one of the names of the players who went to represent the Frogs. Who are some transfers to keep an eyeball on?
It's a good question. I think Frankie Collins and Noah Reynolds are 2 of the bigger names that we're going to hear from this year. Those are 2 guys that made the trip up to Kansas City to talk to media. Frankie comes from Arizona State. He spent the last 2 years there, started his college career at Michigan. Noah Reynolds came from Green Bay, where he led the team in scoring and assists last year, was a first-team all-conference player for Green Bay, started his career at Wyoming. And both of those guys have been real leaders, as you hear
tell that guy to shut
ESPN
up.
breaking down their set. ESPN is breaking down their set next to me right
perfect.
now.
Thanks. Thanks, Fran.
But, Fran Fraschilla, shout out. But Frankie and Noah are 2 of the kind of leaders on this team. They've been really capable in practices, and they've been 2 of the guys who have helped kind of create a culture because, like you said, Ernest Uday is not only the only name you probably recognize, he's the only guy on the roster that played minutes for TCU last year.
That's crazy.
And so they're the 6 transfers, the 4 true freshmen, the 2 redshirt freshmen, plus Ernest. That's your whole roster. And so they've done a lot of culture building. We've heard from Jamie Dixon. He talks a lot about wanting to be physical, wanting to play fast, and how, with Jamie Dixon, it never seems like they're there yet. He always wants them to be a step ahead of where they are, which is, I think, every head coach. But he verbalizes it in a way that's pretty unique. But yeah, I think there's a good. It's a good roster. It's constructed well. Maybe not as big as you'd like to see in the Big 12, but I think it's going to be a good basketball team this year.
Yeah, I think Jamie has caught some slack in the past about his non-conference schedule. But I think this is the year to kind of lay out some patsies, or you hope they're patsies. Okay. Try to get things together for conference play because, it opens New Year's Eve or even New Year's Day. I don't remember which one, at Arizona. I don't care if Arizona is expected to not be as good this year. It's still Arizona, for crying out loud. And that just starts the gauntlet. And yikes. But, I'm curious to see it. Curious about this open scrimmage next week, too, at Dickies Arena against Arkansas. It's a charity game. I think it's a caveat, a way for teams to get an extra game and raise some money, but generate some fanfare, I guess. And if 2 Chainz doesn't do the trick, maybe seeing the Frogs live will do it.
Yeah, 6 o'clock at Dickies Arena, or 7 o'clock at Dickies Arena, November 1st. Arkansas is coming to town. It's definitely helps offset the weaker non-conference schedule to have an exhibition game like this right up front, where the competition is going to be high. You're going to get a really good look at your team, and then you can maybe make some adjustments in non-conference play against some of those not as strong programs that are coming to Fort Worth. So it should be a cool event, though. Tickets are on sale. I know that they're really trying to boost the word because 50% of the proceeds from this game go to Cook Children's, and then another 50% go to a children's hospital up in Fayetteville as well. So if you buy a ticket, you know that you're contributing to a good cause. Yes, a lot of weights on the ground.
Watch out for those pipes, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I'm going to get the heck out of this spot as soon as this interview is over.
Hey, all right, so you went to Salt Lake. What did you see?
I saw a pretty bad football game, but TCU ended up winning it, so that was nice. I shouldn't be too critical. The defense looked really good. It's the best defensive performance I've seen from TCU this year. Offensively, it might have swung the other way. It might have been the worst offensive performance I've seen from a third and long situation, just not executing. They were 4 of 17 on third downs overall. Another red zone turnover, a blocked field goal. No third down conversions in the second half of the football game. They just really struggled to get moving on offense. And fortunately, they found a little bit of rhythm with Savion Williams running the football, which helped them ice the game late. But really, if the defense does anything different than what they did, TCU comes away losing that football game. So impressive performance on that side of the football. And it's the second game in a row now. You've got some really serious questions about what this offense is capable of. And you hope they get it together because you're facing some pretty good offenses yourself down the stretch here.
Yeah. Utah had Isaac Wilson, the true freshman, and but TCU executed the game plan. They made him throw. They put him in situations where they had to throw. They were really good against the run, and TCU hasn't been good against the run. I think that's a pretty big development, especially with Taj Brooks and Tech coming to town. TCU has to be good against the run.
They do, and we'll see if the defense adjusts because of the quarterbacks and receivers that they're going to be facing as well. Sonny said they kind of sold out to stop the run against Utah. They knew that was where they were going to focus most of their attention, and so they dropped safeties a little bit more than we've seen in the past few games. They blitzed a little bit more than we've seen in the last few games, and I don't know if you're going to be able to get away with that against a Texas Tech or an Oklahoma State or a Baylor down the stretch, because your cornerback play has been a challenge defensively so far this year. And we saw that rear its head again against Utah. Money Parks had a 71-yard touchdown reception because he got past TCU's secondary pretty easily. So if there's a thing to keep an eye on moving forward with this defense, is are they going to continue to be as capable against the run when they're facing offenses that are far more balanced than what Utah presented on Saturday?
Yeah, it's good. Any win is a good win, right? There's no question about that. I mean, TCU win Saturday. They're tied with Tech in the conference standings. They're a little bit closer to the bowl game, being bowl eligible. Hopefully, they realize the opportunity that's in front of them. I think that needs to be the motivating factor. Get to 6, and then keep building. Well, get to 5, but then get to 6 and keep building from there. Give me a number. How many games are the Frogs going to win this year?
It's a good question. I said before the season 8-4. It's still feasible. Tech is reeling a little bit right now. Anytime you give up 60 points to Baylor, it's not a great thing. Oklahoma State gave BYU quite a run in Provo, but they've struggled mightily this year. Baylor struggled mightily this year. So those are 3 games that are completely winnable. Realistically, there's no game left on TCU's schedule that isn't winnable, but there's also not a game left on the schedule where I would be surprised if they lost. So it's one of those things where you have to build on the performance you had against Utah. I could see 6, maybe 7 at this point, but they've still got to make some strides, both offensively and with their secondary, in order to make that a reality.
All right, we're going to go 7-5 here. Did you drive to Kansas City? You're a big driver.
I am a big driver, but I flew up and flying back just because of timing for some other things that are happening in life. So
nice. Are you flying out tonight?
Airplane, I'm flying out in about 3 hours.
Yeah, you got the late flight. Yeah, depending on the traffic, you may want to leave now. I don't know.
We're gonna hop in an Uber here pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I haven't been to the new Kansas City airport though. Is it nice?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's an airport.
Ringing endorsement from Jamie Plunkett. So Hey, Jamie, thanks as always. Sorry we couldn't have you on last week. Melissa did great in your place in pinch hitting. It's kind of like you're getting ready to bring in a pitcher and he's warming up and he pulls an oblique and we have to bring in another reliever. She did a fine job. You're still our closer based on this rebound performance. So thanks again. We will see you next week.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Take care. All right, guys. Jamie Plunkett from the 247 Sports and the Frogs Insider Podcast. This has been the All Horned Frogs Podcast, Episode 7. Thanks again to John Denton, Jamie Plunkett, and Devean Deal, the junior defensive end who had 2 sacks against Utah. Hopefully he reprises that role Saturday against Tech. We'll talk about it next week. Thanks for joining us.
We all silly like the mayor.